Hey there, children of the night, and welcome to Bob After Dark, the show that takes you into the shadows and goes and says hello everything that goes bumping at night. I'm your host with the most that enjoys toast, Bob, and alongside of me, as always, is my ever wonderful, ever vampiric, ever cape-wearing, and forever the heartthrob of Bob After Dark, my friend, my producer, Count Panic himself.
Hey Bob, Count Panic here, another episode of Bob After Dark. Happy to be here, and I like our apparel. It's warm outside. We're both wearing T-shirts. Wearing an Indiana Beach T-shirt. You wearing a pretty cool from Pierogi Fest, I'm guessing.
The
Polish drinking team.
The Polish drinking team T-shirt.
A classic T-shirt.
Listen, I just got in from Boston late last night. I'm exhausted. So
that's right. You were in Boston.
I was in Boston, so we didn't have an episode last week. I spoke at Anime Boston. It was a huge show, man. They draw a large crowd for that convention, and this is my second time going. I had a really good time.
Nice.
I drove it.
You drove it? How many hours is that?
About 18.
18 hours.
Yeah,
wow.
I spent about 15 of it on the road yesterday.
15. Okay, so.
And so I woke up today, and I was a pile of mush, and somehow I still took myself to the gym.
Wow.
And somehow I'm still here.
Dedication.
I am.
You suffer for the art.
I do suffer for the art. So, folks, if I seem like a deflated balloon today, don't panic.
Ah.
It is no pun intended. I am literally a deflated balloon.
I mean, you had a great time. That's the main thing.
How about you? What's been going on? A week update, I guess.
I was going to ask if you had any chowder, but chowder?
Chowder? I'm a vegetarian. I don't think they make
you
vegetarian
could have
chowder.
A clam chowder doesn't always have. Oh, it's clams over there?
It's called clam. Let's break the word down.
I know. Well,
into clam.
That's more of a fishy thing.
And chowder.
Fishy. Well, I guess you can't eat that either. Yeah.
I don't eat fish, man.
Sorry, Bob. You're out of luck in Boston as far as dining.
I had pretty good.
Yeah.
I ate that.
Cheese curds.
Yeah, no, I didn't have any Boston cheese curds.
Oh, tea party? Did you have a tea party?
I did not have a tea party.
Okay,
no.
Well, I'm glad you had a great time.
Well, I had a pretty good time. I can't complain. I got to see a really cool location on my way back yesterday that we're going to be talking about today on the show.
Right.
Which we'll get to. But what's been going on with you?
Bob, I'm glad you asked. What's been going on with me the past few days here? Just kind of capitalizing on the weather. It's been nice here lately.
First real break of nice weather.
Yeah, so I enjoyed that. The Easter season, of course, has came and hopped away. So a lot of Easter festivities. No egg hunts this year. Maybe I'll have to go plan my egg hunts better next year. But had a good Easter. Hopefully, you had a good Easter, and everybody out there had
at the convention.
Yeah. So there you have it.
Yeah. So that was me. Now we're here.
Yeah.
If this is your first time ever watching or listening to Bob After Dark, we are your weekly-ish paranormal show, where we talk about legends, lore, and supernatural, things that go bump in the night, lights in the sky, weird cryptid stories, and of course, Count Panic's favorite springtime activity.
Maybe catching butterflies.
It's a good hobby. I do actually catch butterflies with a net, like
jellyfish, SpongeBob and the jellyfish. Yeah, you go out there with a net. You roam the prairies, you roam the fields, and you try to find some butterflies, and you catch them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's a springtime activity, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
What's your favorite springtime activity?
That's a great question. I am a fan of having a cold beer sitting outside.
What makes that a springtime? It could be a summer, fall,
outside,
or I can do that.
It's
sit outside in the winter too.
No, I don't. I avoid that.
Well, then I take mine back. I do like sitting outside drinking a beer too.
Okay.
Who cares about the butterflies?
No, I guess you could say that about any season, right?
We drink beer with anything.
What's my favorite spring? I enjoy a good walk outside. My two favorite, I love good walk.
Yeah,
so I've
walk
always
is
been
nice.
that way. My two favorite seasons to take a walk in is spring and fall because it's not
too hot, not too cold.
It's perfect.
Just right.
Spring. Just being out there in the world is a good springtime.
Show your face.
Until the pollinating begins, in which case then I just go right back into hiding, man.
Well, we got some time, I guess.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Well, if this is your first time, like I said, we split the show up into two parts. First part's the weird spooky news of the week. It's where you, the fans, submit news articles to me that are weird and paranormal themed. Wow. Anything from weird spooky news or ghost sightings, cryptid sightings, or even weird advances in borderline on science fiction in the world of the news.
Interesting.
And then we talk about the lore of the week. That's the meat and potatoes of
bread and butter.
The bread and butter in this case.
Well, the news stories well, for you, it's the bread and butter. Yeah.
The news story, I enjoy doing them, but the
news stories is like a salad, or a soup or
it's
salad.
A soup. Yeah. It's a tomato soup before the grilled cheese. That is the Lord of the week.
You can eat them together, though, right?
You can. You digest the show in one sitting, right?
I like the analogy, yes.
Yes, I am glad after several years of doing this, I can come up with a good analogy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
All right. So let's dive right into the weird, spooky news of the week. We have 2 from Tim Binnall and 1 from not Tim Binnall.
Okay.
Tim Binnall, of course, the writer of the Coast to Coast AM weird news articles. I piggyback off him a lot because he just does a really good job.
Good.
You go online, you look up the weird news, and it's hard to dig up. Some of these news articles, like it is harder to do this than the Lore of the Week by leaps and bounds, right?
Yeah.
So Tim Binnall usually has some really good news stories throughout the week, wrapped up with a nice bow. So yeah, you might hear that name a lot, and you know what? It's worth it.
Man knows what he's doing.
All right. So our first news article, written from Tim Binnall, is a regretful Bigfoot bandit returns stolen Sasquatch in Wisconsin.
Okay.
A regretful Bigfoot bandit returned a sizable Sasquatch lawn ornament that had been stolen outside of a business in Wisconsin after discovering that it is meant to raise money for charity. According to a local media report, the strange saga began last week in the city of Pierre, with Sally Kiefer unveiled a hot pink cutout of the famed cryptid outside of her thrift shop Fancy Treasures. The display's eye-catching color was the brainchild of a friend who had heard of the store's owner's recent cancer diagnosis and painted one of the more popular pieces to show their support and raise money for the other local cancer patients who could use a helping financial hand. However, a sticky-fingered ne'er-doer managed to snatch the Sasquatch from outside the shop shortly after Kiefer showcased Stella, as the pink piece came to be known on social media. The unfortunate case of the Bigfoot banditry caught the attention of local TV station who detailed the curious caper. "Whoever has Stella, I'm not mad at you," Kiefer said in an interview. "She's really cute, I know she's special, but she means a lot to Fancy Treasures, and she will do a lot for the people in the community who are run down on their luck. So let us help the people by bringing her back." Unlike many instances wherein stolen Sasquatch pieces are never returned, the peculiar instance wound up to be a happy ending. A few days after the TV station's segment aired, Kiefer was surprised to find that the Bigfoot bandit had returned Stella to the store along with a typewritten note apologizing for their unacceptable actions. In addition to the pink piece and the remorseful message, the thief also included a donation to the area cancer charity.
Wow.
Oh. While the incident undoubtedly inflicted undue stress upon Kiefer at the already difficult time, she marveled that the story of Stella's misadventure may have ultimately be a good thing and raised awareness for the shop's efforts to help those in need. Hashtag panic stake.
So, I mean, this all had a happy ending at the end of the day. But is there a thing going on where people steal Bigfoot items?
Come on, man. People steal, like, ducks off of like lawns. What's gonna, Sasquatch is no different.
Yeah, I guess so. You see always those big cutouts of Sasquatch. They feel like they're too hard to move.
Exactly.
But I guess it's the case.
There's a really cool statue of the Beast of Bray Road on Bray Road in Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. Whenever I go up there to go see it, I'll drive by and they have the big statue, and I always wonder, I'm like, I wonder if anybody ever tried to steal that. Well, that thing's like massive behind bars.
They took our Kosciuszko statue from Kosciuszko Park.
They certainly did, and I heard of a group of rapscallions back in the day putting a garbage can over his head. I wonder who did that.
I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, with the Bigfoot, I mean, it's very trendy, it's very hip to take. But I'm glad the message got around. Hey,
listen, we don't always get good stories.
The donation to cancer.
Yeah, we don't necessarily always get good happy endings on our news of the week. Usually it's death and destruction and AI's coming to kill us
crazy
all,
stuff,
etc., etc.
Yeah.
So we got a good ending.
It's a good one. Yeah.
That's the happy ending. I'm happy to hear that the person, realized the error of their ways and even made their own donation.
Changed.
Let's follow up count.
Sure.
I let's get the information for the person in Wisconsin for the store. Let's follow up and see if we can raise. Let's see if we can raise some awareness for that cardboard cutout ourselves. And if they have already sold it, let's see how much they raised. And if they didn't, let's see what we can spread around. That's our promise to you. If somebody out there, if they're the listener of the show, listener of the store is, if the owner of the store is a listener of the show, that's a backward, type of thing. Just know that we care about what you're doing. I think it's fantastic.
Very cool.
You don't always see like the paranormal community like try to come together to do something good like that.
But they did.
And I don't know if it's the paranormal community or just the concept of Sasquatch.
Feel good story of the year.
But we're gonna do what we can to help raise some awareness for Stella, the Sasquatch cancer cutout.
Cutout, yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. To a not happy story, but it's probably one of the more interesting article titles I've done. Once again, thank you, Tim Banal. A man in China jailed for scaring over 1,000 of his neighbor's chickens to death.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, man. A man in China is headed to prison after being busted for scaring over 1,000 of his neighbor's chickens to death. The bizarre case reportedly began last year in the county of Hengyang. The perpetrator of the poultry massacre, geez, Tim, you're killing me here, identified it in Chinese media by his surname Gu, became embroiled in a bitter feud with the chicken farmer identified as Zhang, who lives next door to him. Their previously peaceful coexistence was shattered when Gu cut down some trees on Zhang's property without his permission. When the chicken farmer rightfully claimed the downed trees, Gu, who presumably had plans for the wood, became enraged and set about enacting in his rather strange revenge. Armed with a flashlight, Gu crept onto his neighbor's farm late one evening and proceeded to terrify the chickens by unexpectedly illuminating them, which caused the animals to crowd into a corner where a whopping 460 of them died, although he was arrested for the odd attack in order to pay Zhang approximately $430 in damages. The only escalated tensions between the two men. To that end, amazingly, the mass chicken killer actually struck again shortly thereafter. This time around, took down a staggering 640 of the birds using the same dastardly technique. On the day of the trial, the second case of property damage, Gu showed no remorse for his actions, and as such, the judge handed down a stiff penalty to the poultry killer, rightfully so. The man was not only ordered to compensate Zhang for the second slew of lost chickens, which were valued at $1,600 American dollars this time, but was also sentenced to serve 6 months in jail for the audacious crime. It remains to be seen whether or not the time behind bars will cause Gu to regret his role in the feud, though one imagines that the embarrassment of having to explain to fellow inmates why he was in prison may just do the trick. Hashtag panic state.
I see. This seems like a conflicting thing here, but you never want to see this happen. Unlike the last story had a happy ending, this causes much havoc on these chickens here. But I wish there was a way to figure this out. I wish they could settle the differences, and put it all aside. Maybe in a perfect world.
Perfect world. I feel bad for those chickens, man.
Yeah,
that's
of course.
just a damn shame.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. This last news story comes from NDTV. NDTV. Written from, Nikhil Pandey.
Okay.
All right. According to research, those who experience sleepless or sleep paralysis are more prone to have paranormal beliefs. Any thought of paranormal activities or anything supernatural sends a chill down the spine of anyone who is scared of these abnormal things. The fact that so many individuals continue to believe in paranormal activity is due to this fear. However, a recent study found the link between the quality of sleep and the occurrence of seeing ghosts and paranormal or supernatural things, such as experiencing the presence of ghosts. The research, which was published in the Wiley Online Library, is titled The Associations Between Paranormal Beliefs and Sleep Variables. In order to arrive at a firm conclusion, the researchers of this study, which was carried out as a survey, tried to undertake thorough research by evaluating paranormal beliefs in relation to the wide sleep variables in a large sample. According to Science Alert, researchers conducted the study using an online survey, and the recruitment was promoted on social media and in the BBC Science Focus magazine. In the end, 8,853 participants, who were all at least 18 years old, responded to questions about various paranormal topics and sleep variables. Links between paranormal beliefs and other sleep variables were also revealed, and for all associations, it was found that a higher level of paranormal belief was associated with poorer subjective sleep quality, even controlling for the age and gender effects the study authors mentioned. In particular, participants who reported stronger beliefs in the soul living on after death, the existence of ghosts, the ability to some people to communicate with the dead, and the presence of aliens on Earth tended to report lower sleep efficiency, longer sleep latency, shorter sleep duration, and increased insomnia symptoms. The experts behind the study mentioned that reports of paranormal activity or anomalous beliefs could be mistaken as, prima facie evidence. I probably am butchering that.
We'll take that.
Yeah, we'll take it. Evidence for more severe disorders. And they believe that this may encourage clinicians to assess the relevant sleep disturbances and parasomnias, in addition of other forms of psychopathology. Those are some words.
They do cram a lot of big words in that story, didn't they?
Okay, in essence, and we're going to pass it off to you.
Give it to the common man here. What's going on?
Basically, what is being said is, if you sleep like crap, you could see ghosts.
Okay, you know what? Yeah.
And other supernatural, paranormal things.
Yeah.
Now, I have my own opinion on the topic, but we're going to pass it over to the hashtag panic steak before I get to
I kind of get that, Bob. Say you have a bad night's sleep and you're tossing, you're turning. You may think you see ghoulish figures, goblins, ghosts, witches, Bigfoot himself. The Yeti, Yocat, anything really, as you get a terrible night's sleep. I could see your mind start playing tricks on you, and you have a paranormal experience. So I think this is factual here, Bob. I'm going to go with a truth. Maybe it's not real, but it makes you believe it's real.
Do you want my opinion?
Sure.
All right. Hadoy. Yes. When you are sleep deprived, or you're having not such good sleep patterns, you're going to see things.
Ghouls.
Goblins. Have you ever tried to stay up like 24 hours straight?
Bob,
especially in your 30s.
It's tough.
You start seeing things, man. That's a 100%.
Yeah.
But you can't attest to every paranormal, because I know what they're getting at.
Yeah.
You can't attest to every paranormal sighting in the world to be lack thereof sleep. I will bite that there is probably a good chunk. If you see a ghost in the middle of the night in your bedroom, you may associate it to lack thereof sleep. I got that. But what about everybody else that sleeps normal?
Gets very restful.
That's part of the problem with like paranormal investigations, right? You stay up all night at a location. That's the whole point, is to crank your body.
Then you start seeing ghosts.
Yeah, I buy it. I do. But you can't blame every paranormal experience on lack thereof sleep.
I guess not. Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents. Interesting study. I'm glad to see people are still putting money into research.
Yeah,
for parapsychology and things like that.
Important.
And, stuff like that. It's fascinating. Sleep, into the world of the paranormal. But this one just, I don't know. Makes total sense. It makes so much sense that why would you do a study on it? Oh yeah, I think lack thereof sleep may make you see ghosts. Would you like to know what lack thereof sleep made me see once when I was driving?
What did it make
a whale on the middle of the expressway.
Like a Moby Dick.
Like a giant white whale just on the expressway.
Yeah.
I've seen
chase
once. No, I got freaked out, and then I.
Yeah, you can't. That's a very dangerous time.
Exactly, I've seen, and that's what I'm saying. Like I've seen.
This wasn't yesterday, was it?
No. This was a long time ago. I saw what I thought was a whale. I thought I've seen like shopping carts when I'm tired, like randomly coming into things.
Ghostly shopping carts.
So yes, 100%. You may see something that you're not supposed to see.
Yeah, it happens.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to move on to a break?
Sure.
All right, Count. We'll be right back.
Wait!
Yes.
There's more.
There's more.
I have a story.
What? Okay.
This was passed on to me from the Miami Herald.
All right, who passed it on to you?
You know what? Columnist from the Tribune, Philip Tempa.
Thank you, Philip. Fan of the show.
Fan of the show.
Fan of the show. Thank you, Philip. We appreciate that.
He said, hey, this might be good for Bob tonight, and it comes from the Miami Herald.
All right, let's hear it.
Have you read a lot from the Miami Herald?
Can't say I have.
All right. It's about mummies.
It's about mummies.
We don't talk enough about mummies.
No, because...
Why is that? There's no love for the mummy population.
Because I've never heard of a mummy rising from the grave, other than a Brendan Fraser movie. Other things we talk about. There's
what are you talking about Egypt, the ancient mummies.
I've never heard of an ancient mummy rising from the grave, man.
Well, listen to this story.
All right, I'm listening.
Miami
I'm here
Herald.
for it. Okay, yes.
Signs of life in mummy exhibit in Mexico have experts worried for those who get close.
Oh.
A traveling exhibit of several accidental mummies. Accidental mummies, that's the worst kind.
Accidental
mummies.
Yes,
sparked concerns after Mexican officials spotted signs of life on one mummy, experts say. The unique collection of mummies from the 1800s, the Associated Press is reporting, the deceased were accidentally mummified. How horrible. Accidentally mummified after being buried in crypts in dry, rich soil in Mexico. No one knows why the bodies mummified instead of just disintegrating. Some attribute it to local climate, while others believe the crypts caused it. Again, the AP reports. The mummies were discovered in 1865 by surprised cemetery workers who were removing the remains of people whose relatives couldn't afford to pay graveyard fees. The mummies, as they became known, are on display at the Museo de las Mamias, if I'm saying that correctly, according to the museum website. Most recently, some of the mummies were part of a traveling exhibit and on display at the tourism convention in Mexico City from March 26th to 29th. During the first day of the convention, over 5,000 people visited the mummies. Experts saw photos, though, of the display and spotted signs of possible fungal growths on one of the mummies, the Institute said in a statement. The signs of life worried experts because of the possible biohazard concerns, yet lack of safeguards, and the danger of the damage to the fragile mummies. Mexico's International Institute of History told the officials to allow the institute to analyze the mummies and collaborate in management of the remains. Mexico City is about 220 miles southeast of the mummies' usual museum display in Mexico there. But here we got a situation, Bob, where these, again, accidentally mummified mummies, they have fungal, and they're saying if you get too close, it could cause concerns. Maybe you could actually become a mummy yourself if you really dig deep into it. But how about this, Bob? Kind of a strange thing with these accidental mummies and fungal, and it's a safety concern, and now who knows what all hell will break loose.
It makes total sense. I mean...
Mummies.
Wait, do I get a hashtag Bob's Take?
A hashtag Bob's Take.
Whoa, man, I'm all about it, Count Panic. I'm all about it 100%.
If you want to read it again, Miami Herald's got that.
100%. I definitely worth the concern, I would say. If there's a weird fungal and thing growing on the mummies and they're not behind... Does it say in the article, or did you see any pictures of the exhibit if they're behind glass, or are they just out there to be viewed?
It looks like they're behind they're behind glass here, and but I guess the concern here basically is about the display. You got the fungal thing there. The institute said it was not alerted about the display and did not authorize or advise on the transportation, handling, or presentation conditions of the mummies. So they're kind of taking a step here, saying, "Hey, don't blame us about this." But I mean, think about that, Bob, for a second. Is it possible? Let's put our paranormal hats on. We always have our paranormal.
The paranormal hats always on.
But what if the fungus gets the person? The person then turns into a mummy.
I mean, it might just kill them.
That too. Yeah. That too. Yeah.
Just randomly, I got bandages on me.
That's the word. I guess. Would you rather become a mummy or? I mean, it's a scary situation. Hopefully,
I don't
nobody
want
gets
to
hurt
come back. Listen, that's my number one rule upon my death. Is I do not want to come back here. Please. I've already done this once. I don't need to come back. That's numero uno rule. So listen, fans, you even Count Panic. Do not bury me in a pet cemetery. I don't want to come back. No. Don't do it. So with that being said, there is definitely a level of concern to this. That
safety, health.
That health, safety for the people. I will say that, out of all the years of doing the research into the paranormal, like the news story aspect, I have never heard of a fungal virus still being alive on something. How about that? That's weird. Fascinating. Yeah. Scarily fascinating that they pulled it out and now it's latching on to these mummies, and there's a potential that people were like breathing this stuff in.
Mummies are always a strange thing, aren't they? I mean, I tell you, the mummy situation, and again, I know you never heard of a mummy just rising, but it really makes you think about the whole situation there, doesn't it?
100%. Do we got a caller?
We do have a caller.
Let's take it live.
We'll take it live.
I feel like it's John.
We'll take it live.
You're on the air, caller.
Hey, belated happy Easter there, Bob.
Thanks, John. And yourself, too.
How was Easter in Boston?
Yeah, it was Easter in Boston.
Like over here, huh?
Something like that, absolutely. How's your Easter, John?
Well, it was pretty good, Bob. Thank you for asking. Hey, mummies, that's something, all the years I've been listening, never really, you guys really never mentioned it.
Not a lot of mummy stories.
Mummies, you think of mummies ancient times. So a mummy is a dead person, preserved with the wrappings. Am I correct?
You are correct. Ancient autopsy.
What was the purpose? What was the purpose back then of...
it was just preservation.
Preservation. Right? Depends on the culture. Some cultures believe that was like, you
come back later.
You might come back later. Other people believe, that just burying your dead wasn't the way to do it, so they just mummified you. I know in certain cultures that if you were mummified, that was like you were important in case you were to come back. Everybody else was just like buried. So it just depends on the culture, I would say 100%. The reason why we don't talk about mummies on the show is because that's more like archaeological. Help me out here, Panic. Archaeological.
Yes.
Thank you. I can't even say the word.
I'll go with that.
So that's the word. That's more like that science-based versus like our stuff. I would say I've never heard of a mummy coming back other than in the movies. However, I have heard of like mummified remains of vampire corpses and stuff. So that'd be something we would have to talk about in the future.
Okay, so that was just a burial preference.
Yes, absolutely.
So either like now we either cremated or were buried in the ground. Back then they were wrapped in cloth and
the ancient autopsy. Right? All their organs were moved, and basically their body was preserved in fancy wrappings.
Yeah, I never really delved into the reasoning of, mummyism, I guess, if that's a word. But
listen, we've been making up words all night tonight, John.
But yeah, bringing that up, I thought I'd inquire about it. So
we could do a whole episode on mummies, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, well, like you said, it's more archaeological than. But all right then, Bob. Hey, you guys have a good show.
Thanks for calling in, John. We appreciate it.
Sure. All righty.
I don't know, Bob. I mean, if there's some I bet you could dig for some stories.
Dude, like I said, I know of the mummified remains of like the vampire corpses. Yeah. I mean, that's a thing.
Yeah.
I guess if like I could find a ghost story about Pompeii.
That one Disney movie, Under Wraps, remember? That was a good movie. About the mummy?
I prefer the perfect film of the mummy, the Brendan Fraser movie.
Oh, the actual title.
That movie's perfect.
That was based on a true story, too.
I heard it was 100%.
That'd be great for the episode.
You are a silly, silly man.
All right. With that, maybe it's time for the break.
Oh, thanks, Philip, for sharing that story, by the way. All right, folks, stick around. Our live audience, stay tuned. We'll be right back. And to our podcast fans, you're about to be hearing word from a show that you should be listening to. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Ghostly.
Pat, what are you doing?
What? I want people to know that we're a podcast that takes a deep dive into some of the scariest ghost stories.
But we don't do the creepy voices or weird sound effects. We debate the ghost stories. And aren't you supposed to be the skeptic?
I am, but they'll find that out once they listen.
Look, all you have to do is tell them to listen to Ghostly and that our listeners get to decide which stories are real.
And which stories are just old folklore.
Exactly.
Download Ghostly wherever you find great podcasts.
Oh, jeez.
And we're back.
Oh, we're back.
Oh, hey there, Count.
Oh, hey, Bob.
How's it going?
It's going pretty good. How about you?
Doing good. What'd you do during break?
Bob, during the break, I mummified myself, but I didn't like it. Wasn't a fan, so I just came back to regular Count Panic.
I also was prepping to mummify myself.
Oh, you were just prepping. I actually did it.
I was prepping.
Okay.
I got the bandages ready to go.
Oh, I did it already. I was a mummy.
Well, anyhowsels, we're back here, and it's the lore of the week time, and I have to tell you where I was at yesterday, the day before recording this. I was in Niagara Falls.
Niagara Falls!
I was on the American side. I don't have a passport.
Slowly.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've never been, so me and the Queen of the Night, we were on our way back from Boston. It's only like 20 minutes off the expressway, and she's never been, so we decided to go and visit, and it is pretty cool.
On the New York side.
On the New York side. You could see the Canadian side from the New York side.
That's interesting. When I was young, probably 4 or 5 years old, maybe 3 or 4. I remember going to the Canada side with my family there. I was very young, but I remember going to Canada. Only the time I was out of the country. Go to Niagara Falls there in Canada.
Yeah. And
it's pretty nice.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I mean,
the area surrounding the falls is the quichiest tourist attraction. It's like Wisconsin Dells up in there.
Did you take a picture in the barrel?
I did not.
Don't they have a little barrel there you can take a picture?
It was a quick trip because we wanted, we still had a 12-hour drive home. Yeah. So we stopped there and then we went and had, we stopped there and then we took a quick little drive around downtown, this giant, quiche tourist building.
Did you buy a keychain?
I did not. No, I took some good pictures.
I went to Niagara Falls and all I got was this lousy T-shirt.
Yeah, or went down a barrel at.
Yeah.
No, but I did. However, on our way home, I was thinking about it. I was like, Niagara Falls, like I said, it definitely has that Wisconsin Dells vibe. Yeah. It's a smaller town, and the downtown area it has T-shirt stands.
Sell your gimmicks.
Yeah, your T-shirt stands, your, gift shops, which are fine, that helps boost your economy. It has the cheesy haunted house right there on the strip, so you can go, it's...
I think the Canada side had that, too.
I'm sure they did,
It's just everything that was on the New York side is exactly on the Canadian side, too.
But it was cool driving around, but I was like, I wonder if I could find some ghost stories attached to Niagara
Falls.
So fun fact, Niagara Falls at one point in the world was considered the world's capital for honeymooners.
Really?
Honeymooners would go to Niagara Falls because it's an easy destination. You could either fly into Buffalo and go and see it, or if you're going to drive it, you just drive, and it's, a pretty nice drive to get there straight down 90. Especially for Chicagoland. They have several hotels there and some cute little, bed and breakfasts and several other things you could do, waterfall related. So I could see it. But at one point, Niagara Falls was the home of many daredevils and various other people. Yes. We're not going to dive too much into it, no pun intended, but there's the tale of the widowee who lived in Michigan. She decided that she was going to go down a waterfall, Niagara Falls waterfall, in a barrel.
That's a big one, yeah.
Yeah, and then there was also the Yankee Doodle Jumper, I believe his name was. And by the way, I'm getting a lot of this information from a podcast I listen to, which, believe it or not, I do listen to podcasts when I don't Bob After Dark. I don't listen to a lot of paranormal podcasts. It's, you eat, sleep, and breathe the paranormal.
Of course, yeah.
Sometimes I take a break. But I was listening to I think it's a true crime podcast. I like dark lore kind of show.
Really?
It was called Dark Poutine.
Like the
fries.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, like dark poutine, and it was hosted by two I believe to be Canadian fellas.
That's big in Canada.
Yeah, I think there are 2 Canadian fellas that hosted Dark Poutine, so shout out to them. I listened to their Niagara Falls episode.
Niagara Falls.
I learned about the Yankee Doodle Jumper, who was a young man who lived his life as a stunt performer. He dove off of things, so he decided to go to Niagara Falls and dive into the falls a couple of times. Yeah. And on the 3rd attempt he did it, he died.
Yeah.
Just recently, over the past couple of years, a young lady was dangled out of a helicopter over the falls by her teeth.
Oh my goodness!
Horrible. Yeah, like she did. No, she did that on purpose. Oh. She's a trapeze artist, like a stunt person. It's not like she jumped out and she's grabbed onto her with her teeth.
I thought something was a crime was being committed.
No. She dangled by her teeth like willingly.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
good
she was
for
trying
her.
to draw tourists.
Does her dentist approve of this?
I didn't ask, but and then there's other stories of
tightrope walkers.
Tightrope walkers. There's other stunt performers. Yeah. The most famous one is this guy died and all they could find was his arm. So they buried his arm.
Well, hey, better
so there's some dark stuff, but believe it or not, I found ghost stories.
Niagara Falls
Falls area ghost stories and other weird paranormal stuff.
All right.
So the honeymooners capital of the world, or at least at one point, I don't know if it still is. Honeymooners capital of the world.
That's Whiting, Indiana now.
If you find me a couple that honeymoons to Whiting, Indiana.
Oh, come on, Bob. It's a beautiful place. There's a Ripley's, believe it or not.
Yes. So real quick, shout out to the Haunted History Trail of New York State. It's a website that does like they're like a paranormal touring company in like that specific part of New York, and they do like tours and the stuff. Right. You can go look them up if you're in the Niagara Falls area, and they have like some of the biggest like locations that you can go and visit that are supposedly haunted. And I found 3.
All right.
In the area, and so we're going to talk a little bit about some haunted places in Niagara Falls.
Hear 'em.
One is the most popular because it was featured on the original sci-fi channel Ghost Hunters.
Very popular.
Very popular. Once upon a time ago, they did an episode about a place called. You ready?
I'm here.
Yeah. Okay, the Rapids Theater.
The Rapids Theater.
Rapids Theater. So again, this is coming straight from the Haunted History Trail by the New York State's website. It opened in 1921, and the theater was a luxury cinema called the Bellevue Theater. It operated as a movie house for over 50 years, and then the venue became a long-running series of nightclubs beginning in the mid-1970s. And in 2009, the theater got a new lease on life when new owners took it over, made many renovations, and is now one of the top concert and special event venues in Western New York. Some of the big bands, Disturbed, play there. As many comedians have done their shows, sets there and whatnot. So it's a pretty hopping place.
It sounds like it, yeah.
In the past 10 years, it's still a pretty hopping place to go. However, if you go and book a ghost tour there, and you might be wondering why. There is rumors of a woman who supposedly hung herself after learning of her husband's death and more. Reports of apparitions moving through places, including walking through walls. And then there's the whistling. So according to the person that was writing this article, they took a tour of the theater with the general manager, who said he wasn't much of a believer until he started hearing somebody whistle a tune, and it only lasted about 5 seconds. And he was working alone in the theater when he heard this whistling going on. So he became a believer, and one night, working alone at his computer, when the whistling was right there next to him, about a foot from his head. It was so real, and it took him many moments to muster up the nerve to look and see where the noise was coming from. And of course, nobody was there.
Wow, that's very eerie, Bob. So it was just a ghost.
Yes. Yeah. So there's many different, like I said, different apparitions. The most famous is the woman who wanders the theater.
Yeah.
And your classic woman in white.
I was gonna say, was she wearing white?
Yes, of course, classic woman in white stories.
Yeah.
Probably. So that's like the most famous theater, but it's not in Niagara Falls proper. It's like in that vicinity. So I mean, it's pretty close to Niagara Falls.
Yeah,
it's I guess considered Greater Niagara.
Yeah. People, maybe this is what the honeymooners, this is what scared them away. Stuff like this.
Yes.
I can only imagine.
So this is next article we're going to be talking about is probably we're going to be reading from is about probably the most famous place in Niagara proper that is haunted.
Okay.
It is called the Red Coach Inn, and I drove by it yesterday when I was there, and it screams like that old school like German village where it's got like the high points and it's got the the I don't know the proper term, but the lines that are drawn through it and symmetrical patterns along the
old
houses.
School.
Yeah, the old school. You see it at Disney World in the German village.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So this is the Red Coach Inn. It's a very old school place. It opened in 1923. The Tudor-style bed and breakfast immediately became popular to those traveling to Niagara Falls for their honeymoons. They loved the views seen on the outside of their windows, and those taking a break from honeymoon activities could head downstairs for a bite to eat at the elegant on-site restaurant. Though many heard unforgettable noises and experiences at the hotel, at least one couple's trip ended in disaster. A young man and his new bride checked into the hotel and instantly headed upstairs to a room now called the Victoria Suite. A few hours later, guests found that the new husband took a heavy object and hit his wife multiple times. The poor woman was dead by the time police arrived. Though no one is sure what happened that night, both the woman and the man are still believed to haunt the room. Nearly every guest who stays there feels cold spots and so the good old microclimates throughout the room, and guests frequently complain that the temperature in the room is several degrees colder than the rest of the hotels. They also hear restless footsteps pacing back and forth across the room, and the sounds of a woman crying softly and creaking boards come distance in their place when they're by themselves. Though couples still travel to Niagara Falls for their honeymoons, many guests request a room other than the Victoria Suite when they're staying at the Red Coach Inn. Now, that being said, if I was to go and stay there myself, can you guess which room I'd be trying to...
The haunted room?
Absolutely!
Do we know the room number for this place?
You just asked for the Victoria Suite.
Okay, so that's it. Okay. So the thing is with that, you get in the room. But then once you're there... you start to experience some crazy stuff, then you probably want to say, "Well, geez, I want to check out and get a new room here." But you would stay there. You would commit to the room.
I would.
I bet it's probably booked. I mean, is it always booked? Can you get it?
I didn't call to find out. I'm sure.
We should call.
I'm sure I'm not the only person in the world who is into this. Obviously, now I have a wide audience that listens to me. So I'm sure other people call and ask for that specific room.
If we know a number, I won't call, don't worry. But so I mean, what happens
now? Listen, folks, real quick. This is coming from the Bob After Dark. The host Dick loves you guys so much. Mouth lips from himself. Please do not call and harass this poor hotel and ask about the room. But if you're in the area and you're looking for a spooky place to stay, it's not widely advertised that it's haunted. But if you go there and you ask the employees about the hauntings, I've read that they're very happy to share the history of the hotel with you.
That's good.
And will tell you of some of the more ghostly happenings that are going on at the Red Coach Inn.
Yeah, they'll let you know.
But next time I go to Niagara, I am definitely going to be staying there myself.
Did you stop? Did you just pass, or you just
pass by? It was not a... Spent most of my time at the falls proper.
They might be like, Bob, come on, I'll give a tour of the haunted room here.
Yeah, absolutely.
See what's going on.
Next time.
But again, just a bunch of all eerie stuff going on in there. I mean, nobody was hurt. Nobody that's been staying there got hurt or anything, right?
No.
Okay, good.
So,
it's a friendly ghost.
It's just some spooky encounters. Microclimates, probably a woman in white.
Yeah, always.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
so that came from Frightful, by the way. This last one I want to talk to you guys about is the Cave of the Evil Spirit at the Devil's Hole State Park in Louisville, New York, which is right outside Niagara Falls, like right there.
Yeah.
So again, Niagara Falls, area.
Right there, yeah.
This one comes to us from roadtrippers.com. And so let's read the article, and you guys are going to learn a little bit about the Cave of the Evil Spirit.
Cave of the Evil Spirit.
Niagara Falls is home of one of North America's most popular vacation destinations, but just down the road from the hustle and bustle of happy tourists lies a hidden cave with a deep secret that dates well over 3 centuries. And the legend says its curse endures to this day. You'd be forever forgiven for thinking that the small limestone cave carved on the side of Niagara Gorge was just a semi-popular spot for kids to come and smoke cigarettes they stole from their parents, which it is to be fair, but the Cave of the Evil Spirits was given the name by the Seneca natives for a reason. On July 7th, 1936, city historian Edward T. Williams recounted the legend of the Cave of the Evil Spirits in an effort to preserve the story for future generations, and as a warning for those who dare seek it out. In 1669, there came to the Niagara River Robert Calavier de La Salle, who was succeeding 18 years was to be Niagara's most frequent visitor. He wrote, he was the 5th white man to set foot on Niagara County soil.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. The Canadian explorer and his Native American guide, Garon Kuthi, and I apologize if I mispronounced that. It's Garonkouthiie. Garon Kuthi passed by the cave when he inquired about its contents. His guide related the following story, warning LaSalle not to enter. Ages and ages of prosperity and happiness to the natives man had passed from the time of his first creation. The Great Spirit loved his children and gave them his country for the sole use and enjoyment. So it would be continued forever in the great falls of Niagara, Onguiaahra, whose thunder we now hear so plainly, had continued near the spot where your canoe landed. But unfortunately, the people of the area became bad and vexed the Great Spirit with war parties. The rocks began to fall off amid thunders and storms, and scarcely a moon passed that was not marked by some change. Moons and moons passed, and the falls were above this devil's hole, which then became open to the rapids, and the evil spirit could get out. Noise of thunder, shrieks, and groans were often heard from his darkened den, which greatly excited the curiosity of a fine young brave who insisted upon examining the secrets of his dark prison house. Armed for battle, he descended with much difficulty, and we saw him no more. Then came the word of the pale faces, and the vast canoes which would carry an army had come out of the great sea and landed under the midday sun. The evil was distant, and we thought little of it. Time passed on, and another of our young men descended into the cavern, and he returned a few hours, a raving maniac, and his hair, which had been black and glossy like a raven, became white as snow. Such is the tradition of our culture, said his guide. Judge then, my brother, whether you could disturb the evil spirit of his abode and not suffer the penalty. Despite the warning, LaSalle couldn't stop thinking about the cave, and just a few days later he descended on the path and crept inside. It was the decision that he would soon come to regret, as the evil spirit began to whisper in his ear, return home to your home in Canada, and wealth, honors, and a long life of usefulness shall be yours, and when death comes, generations of your descendants shall follow you to your grave. History shall transmit your name to prosperity as the successful founder of a great empire, it said. Proceed to the west, and although gleams of hope may, at times, shrine your path, ingratitude and disappointment will sure soon to meet and follow you until treacherous murder shall end your days, remote from the human habitation, without shelter or even a wigwam of a friendly native. The eagles of the desert shall strip your flesh from your bones, which shall be bleaching under the tropical sun, unburied and unprotected by the cross you now devoutly cherish. LaSalle, sufficiently freaked out about what he experienced, ran from the cave, only to find that the chain of unfortunate events have already begun. Many of his men had deserted him, returning to Montreal. Within a decade, all of his fortune had dwindled, and in an effort to regain his lost wealth, he did exactly as the evil spirit advised against. He set out in the west in an effort to start a colony in Louisiana, not Louisiana, unless that's what it was meant to be spelled, but Louisiana. LaSalle was murdered by his own men, and his body abandoned and left to decay in the woods near the Mississippi River. So it had to have been Louisiana, just a mistype. To this day, the legend of the cave endures, though judging from the graffiti and the plethora of empty beer cans, not everyone takes it seriously anymore. Of course, who can say what, becomes of partying teens? After all, LaSalle's downfall took nearly 20 years to come to fruition. Perhaps the teens who dare party in the evil spirit's lair are destined to become video for toddlers. That here is a fate worse than death.
Well, maybe.
Oh man, that's
tough on it.
I love it. Sorry, I read this one earlier and I cracked up when reading it. I was like, I'm not going to crack up this time.
It happens.
I'm still reading it. If you're looking for the most untouristy thing you could do at Niagara Falls and feel like tempting fate, you can visit the Cave of Evils for yourself. Just be warned, if you hear any whispering in the darkness of the cave, you do well to listen. To get to the cave, I would read to you how to get there. However, it's closed at the moment. Atlas Obscura was reported that it is closed. The county is removing some rocks that have fallen into that area and trying to clear up the area because it's easily mudslidable, and lots of avalanches could happen down there, as we heard in the beginning of the story.
Yeah.
So those are 3 of the spookier locations in the greater Niagara Falls area.
Makes you wonder why people don't honeymoon there more often anymore.
Maybe Niagara Falls?
Maybe stories like this. Spooky stories. Keep people away. Keep the riffraff out of there, I guess. But we still, you still got to check out that room.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But when I was there, popping, and I can imagine, like, if you were going there on, like, Memorial Day or something, that place is probably a zoo.
Now, what if they sold T-shirts of the haunted room? Would you still think?
I am sure. Some places don't embrace their spooky side, which rightfully so, I guess. I'm sure that there are places that are more than willing to have, like, I stayed at the axe murderer's house and survived the axe murder.
I survived the axe murder.
Whatever it might be.
Yeah.
I'm sure that some places that embrace that side of their heritage would, easily make merch on their stuff.
Of course. Well, about again, Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls, slowly.
So even I can find. So there's even ghost stories associated with one of the most honeymooned places.
I bet. Yeah. I wonder what the current. I mean, it's got to be probably what Vegas. Honeymoon in Vegas? Hawaii.
I'll tell you what.
A big one too.
Give me 3 seconds.
All right.
Look, this is going to be a breaking
Niagara Falls anymore, and I'm curious, what is the main honeymoon destination for honeymooners, young honeymooners out there, or old honeymooners that are looking to get away? I still think Whiting, Indiana is a beautiful place to stay for a honeymoon, but that's just me. You may not think in the same lines as that, but if it's not Niagara Falls, then where? Where could it be?
Maui. Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Orlando.
Disney.
Hold on. It just rebooted.
That's probably the top 3 right there. That's got to be a solid.
All right. Hold on. I found a better article. This is from travelandleisure.com. This is the top 13 best honeymoon destinations
13,
in the
I'm
US.
lucky.
Castle Hot Springs, Arizona. The Hamptons in New York.
Okay.
Napa Valley, California, which makes perfect sense.
Wine.
Algonquin, Maine.
Okay.
I'm sure I mispronounced that.
Big.
Ogunquit.
It's a big one.
Nashville, Tennessee. Seattle and the San Juan Islands in Washington. Big Sur, California. Isla Morada in Florida.
Okay.
The Berkshires in Massachusetts.
All right.
Jackson Hole in Wyoming. Wyoming. I can't even talk, man.
I like Wyoming.
Charleston, South Carolina. Aspen, Colorado. Grand Canyon, Arizona.
Grand Canyon.
So I didn't hear once on there the Niagara Falls, but at one point that was the honeymoon capital of the world.
Yep. At one point, we remember it fondly.
Yes, I mean people still go there. I'm sure their economy does not suffer.
No,
I'm sure there's plenty of people that go and buy their T-shirts and hoodies and stuff like that.
Basically.
Which good for them. I'm not downing that, not for by any means.
Make a buck.
But it is a gorgeous place. I highly recommend people go and see it because it is a sight to be seen. The falls, And just maybe you can go and stop over at the inn and go see the haunted inn.
There you have it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or catch a show at the theater.
With the ghost.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have any closing words for our audience?
If you're going to the falls, listen, just watch it. You don't have to go in a barrel and try to be a daredevil. Just enjoy it for what it's worth.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Thank you for watching and listening to another episode of Bob After Dark. On behalf of me and Count Panic, we just want to wish you all sweet dreams. Dad, wherever you are in the universe, I hope you're happy, comfortable, and doing whatever it is that you want to do. Mom, I just want to wish you sweet dreams, and to Tiff, no matter where you are in the world, I hope you have the sweetest dreams of them all. Good night, everybody, and remember the two most important rules of Bob After Dark are, not all who wander are lost, and as above, so below. Until next time.
Memoriam Development.